Welcome, one and all. This is a very different style of video, um, and this is because one of my hobbies is to read. I enjoy reading in my pastime, and I thought I would share some thoughts on a book that I read recently, and maybe I'll do this with future books. We'll see. It kind of depends on the book. Because the book I'm currently reading, holy shit, it's like 800 pages. So we'll see when I'll get done with that. But this book is called The Little Liar. It's a book by Mitch Albom. It's an amazing book. The genre of this book is historical fiction, and it takes place during World War II. Specifically, it looks into the genocide of the Jews and the concentration camps, the life of concentration camps. But what's also interesting is it dives more deeply into the life after World War II for the for the for the Jewish community, and I found that very interesting. Um, but specifically in the story, "The Little Liar" is by Mitch Albom, by the way. So he did an amazing job of writing this book. I just want to make that clear, give him his credit. But I haven't read any of his other books, but I would 100% recommend him solely based off this book. Keep that in mind, solely based off this book. Um, the story is very interesting. It follows four characters, three of them being part of the Jewish community, and one of them being a Nazi officer. Three of them being in the Jewish community, two of them are brothers, and one of them's a family friend. That's the girl, and the two brothers, love the girl, so that leads to some more context and confliction between the brothers in the story later on. Um, but what's very interesting is the build and change in character between the characters, if that makes sense. The way their characters are built like differs throughout the story, which is awesome. And the thing that is hard is that there is a set antagonist with Udo Graf being the Nazi officer, obviously. But between the three of the main characters in the Jewish community, there's sort of like a secondary antagonist between them, and that changes throughout all the perspectives. Because in each chapter, the perspective of a character is is given through, like, for example, Sebastian, the older brother, his perspective of Nico, his younger brother, is going to be different than Fanny, which is the girl's perspective of Nico, right? Excuse me. And it it adds a whole lot to the story that just having, side characters and good a good protagonist and antagonist. There's a set antagonist, but the protagonist kind of is kind of up to you, um, which I find very interesting. Um, throughout this book, it's called The Little Liar, and it's called that for a reason. And it sort of talks about how destructive lies can be, and how deceitful they can be. I don't want to spoil the book any much because I highly recommend people to read it. But there are some quotes that I had noted down that go along with this main theme of how lies are destructive. So this is about how a lie grows. It states, "Because it is what you do with me, you choose a sliver of truth here and a sliver there. So handpicking the truth eventually rot your soul." Um, I find this very interesting because it talks about how a lie grows. Um, a lie sometimes doesn't always start off with the means to be a lie, to be deceitful. It can be a means to sort of evade something, um, by handpicking what is true and what is not true. You're kind of writing your own story in the mind of someone else, if that makes sense. So, like, for example, like if I'm telling you just slivers of truth about me, you're only going to see those slivers of truth about me. You're not going to see the whole truth, right? So that's just pretty interesting to me. This one's about forgiveness. And this is on page 66 at the end of the chapter. It says, "A man to be forgiven will do anything." And now this one really sticks with me just purely because like I feel like a lot of people when doing something wrong or when I've done something wrong, they will only seek for forgiveness and they will do whatever it is to get that forgiveness. Even if it means, doing stuff that is, you know, that differs from their core values or that is very unethical. They just look to be forgiven, and I find that curious because what is the importance of being forgiven? It sort of justifies our action of that wrongdoing, or it's like, hey, I did this and it was bad, but you forgave me, so it's okay. So it's kind of like, okay, it doesn't give you any more reason to do those bad things. But I don't know. That was just my thought on that one. And then the last one is towards the end of the book. In page 250 is like again at the end of the chapter, and it talks about harmony. So it says to keep harmony, there are things you might not say, even if you know them to be accurate. It is technically an act of deceit. It is also an act of love. These two are more connected than you think. And this one kind of goes back to the first one with white lies and handpicking slivers of truth, but it also is, I would say, uh, something we see common between movies, TV shows, and books is where someone will, you know, tell a lie to protect someone, which is for various reasons. It can differ between the context of the movie, but it's interesting because this is sort of like left up to us as readers to decide because for example, like if I was given the chance, or not the chance, but if I was basically given the choice of lying and saving someone or lying and someone dying, it depends on who that someone is, but it also is like I'm more inclined to lie because a life is going to be, in my head, is worth more than a lie. But then what does that lie do? That lie kind of devalues me and devalues my morals to make me do maybe some unmoral things. So it just kind of depends. And I thought that was very interesting how I just thought it was interesting how like love and deceit are very tied together, even though they're like polar opposites, right? But yeah, I just thought that was interesting. There's a lot of like good little lessons or concepts that you kind of see in this book, and uh, it's very good. I do very much recommend this book to if you're interested in history or specifically historical fiction because it does a lot with the after effects but also during the concentration camps and how that affects each and every person, and you can see throughout the book with side characters psychological effects that the concentration camps had on the Jewish community, which is completely fair, and you just see the horrors of the concentration camp. One thing that Mitch Albom did very good was he was very good with his descriptive words, so you're able to clearly clearly paint a picture. I felt like while I was reading this book, I was pretty much watching a movie, um, because of how descriptive this book was. Now, just a fair warning that there is some explicit scenes, or not scenes, I don't know, explicit ages, I guess. I don't know, that are descriptive in a very sussy and inappropriate way. It's not like too bad, but you know, I'm a man of God, so I was definitely like, okay, we're doing some inappropriate stuff here. We're gonna turn the page. So, yeah, I'm not all about that, but very good, and it holds a lot of description. It just goes to show like how crazy that historical point in time was. But yeah, I'm excited to see what more Mitch Albom has in stock. I don't know if he's still writing, but hopefully he is. Um, yeah, and I'm excited to read more. And hopefully share some amazing books with you guys. For my mom and dad watching, pretty much. Anyways, and Kikoa and Aiden. I know you guys are watching this. Appreciate you guys. You guys should read this book because you guys are freaking gooners and you guys would love that gooning page, bro. You freaking weirdo. Anyways, everybody stay safe and peace. Bye.